At dusk, the lantern lit by itself on Ash Hollow Bridge. It burned cold, blue fire. No one touched the wick. Everyone in town knew what followed. When the lantern burned blue, a name would fade. Old folks kept curtains shut on Thursdays. Truckers turned off radios at the mile marker. Kids spat over the rails and ran before dark. I used to laugh. I do not laugh now. My name is Ruth. I left Ash Hollow for 10 years. I came back to sell my father's house after he passed. The bridge cut the town in two. Creek below, sycamores clawing the bank. The first week, the lantern woke me. A cold glow moved across my ceiling. I saw it flicker through the trees. The house smelled like motor oil and cedar. My father kept his gear neat. On the pegboard, one hook hung empty. He always kept a brass handbell there for dinner. Gone. On the workbench, a scrap of paper. 3 words. Do not answer. I asked at the diner. Marlene set down my coffee hard. She said, "You remember Mrs. Cowley. Blue Night took her boy. The lantern called his nickname. He walked to the middle. No prince after that." A logger in the corner said, "Without looking up, Bridge asks, Creek keeps." The library wore the same dust. I read clippings. Flood of 1937. Washout repairs in 1958. A note on a typed report. Lantern reinstalled by request of board. Another line in pencil. Blue only on Thursdays. Bell heard in bones. I touched the margin. Oily. Lamp soot on my finger. That night, the lantern burned again. A bell without sound pressed inside my ears. The house held its breath. I closed the curtains. The glow seeped around the edges. I sat in the hall and counted. The glow did not fade. At midnight, a voice at the porch rail. Soft. It said my name the way my father did. I kept both hands on the floorboards. The wood felt calm. The air felt heavy. After a long time, the glow sank. Crickets began again. Morning brought small things wrong. Mud on the threshold with no prints. Cedar shavings in the sink. The garage door open. The brass handbell sat in my car. Wet with creek water. I shook it. The clapper moved. No sound. Marlene told me to leave before Thursday. She pressed a red string into my palm. "Wear it," she said. "Do not speak if it speaks. Do not look if it looks like someone you loved." 3 more strings on her own wrist. Faded, frayed. I should have left. The house needed sorting. Contracts needed signing. People had claims on my father's tools. I wanted them to have them. Thursday came while I counted wrenches into boxes. At dusk, blue light bled across the window. The bell inside my bones tolled once. I felt the sound in my teeth. I stood on the porch with the red string tight. Through the pines, the lantern swung from the bridge post. No wind, yet it swung. It lit the steel and the old bolts. It lit a shape at midspan. Not a person. An absence where someone should be. It waited for a name. The creek smelled like wet iron. I walked to the ditch line and stopped. The handbell lay by the mailbox. The clapper moved once by itself. No sound, yet I felt it the way you feel a missing tooth. Go back inside, I told myself. Shut the door. I stepped onto the gravel instead. 1 step. 2. The lantern brightened like a breath drawn in. The absence turned to face me. No face. It was looking. Ruth. Not a cry. Not a call. A careful saying. I pressed my teeth together until my jaw burned. The lantern flickered low, then bright. Ruth. The second time it sounded like a broken radio. I tasted metal. I backed away. Gravel rolled under my heel. I grabbed the mailbox. Soot blackened my fingers. The metal was cold. I wiped my hand on the grass and left a dark smear. It spoke a third time, not my name, my father's. Then the word he used with me, kiddo. My legs went soft. The red string stung. I did not move. The lantern buzzed like a hive. A truck crested the hill. Headlights washed the yard. Brakes whined. The logger from the diner climbed down. He did not look at the bridge. Back inside, he said, "Do not look. Do not talk. Do not count." He walked backward until I reached the porch. Only then did he look at the span. The lantern died like a candle pinched closed. Between blinks, the shape thinned to nothing. Crickets tried a note, failed, tried again. The air let out a breath. I slept with the bell under a bowl. Morning. Fog filmed the inside. The wood beneath showed a pale round mark like frostburn. My phone buzzed. A photo of the bridge at dawn. Heavy shoe prints led from my side toward the middle. My father's tread. The last print stopped at the seam in the steel. After that, nothing. No. I went to the sheriff. He said do erase his prints. He said grief makes light look wrong. He would not touch the bell. He told me to toss it in the creek. His hands trembled. His badge winked. At noon, I met Marlene at the bridge. Matches, red strings. She tied 2 to the post. Watch without watching, she said. Stand where your shadow touches the rail. Say nothing. Count nothing. Breathe slow. She lit a match. The lantern did not catch. She touched flame to the base of the post. A thin line of blue ran up the grain like a vein. The lantern burned cold in daylight. A sound like a lid easing loose rolled through the metal. My teeth felt it. The creek dimmed. Color drained from the sycamores. In the blue light, something hung in the glass. Not a wick. A ribbon. Red cords twisted and knotted into one. Tags clung to it. A bus pass sticker. A hospital bracelet tail. A child's penciled name. Marlene spoke flat. When they rebuilt the bridge, men fell. Names were shouted. Ropes thrown. A boy slipped the rail. His mother tied a ribbon here. She said the bridge could keep the knot instead of a name. The lantern started after. Sometimes blue, sometimes it calls. It wants a name tied, not spoken. What if no one ties? I asked. She did not answer. She blew out her match. The blue went on burning. Night fell. Street lamps woke in the distance. The lantern's blue outshone both. Pressure returned behind my teeth. It said my father's name, then mine, then the name my mother used when the kitchen was warm. Kiddo. My throat opened. A broken breath escaped. The blue leaped. The ribbon turned once, twice. A knot loosened. A tag slid free. A pencil name went blank. I ran. Gravel spat from under my shoe. The lamp followed without moving. Pressure at my spine. At the porch, the bell rang without sound. The bowl cracked. The bell rocked like a heart. I grabbed it. Cold burned my palm. I ran back to the bridge. At the post, I raised the bell. The blue bowed toward it. The clapper moved. Silence poured. The lantern thinned to a line. The ribbon slackened. I touched bell to glass. A clear film formed between. My father's voice came once, worn like a tape. Do not answer. Then softer. Kiddo. Then no voice at all. I tied my red string to the post. Tight. Twice. I tied another to the handle. I spoke a name. Not mine. Not his. Forget. The blue flared white, then fell to a small coal. The bell warmed until I could hold it. I set it on the rail. The clapper made one small tick. The night relaxed. Crickets returned. Water sounded like water. Morning. The lantern was dark. The ribbon looked dry. A new tag hung there. Plain cardboard. One word stamped. Forget. The letters dented the fiber. I put the bell back on my father's pegboard. It rang when I lifted it. A small housekeeping sound. I taped a note to the bench for the next person. 3 words. Do not answer. I left town 2 days later. I moved 3 states west. On Thursdays, I close my curtains and keep the radio low. Sometimes pressure finds my teeth. I keep a red string in my pocket. I tie it when the air turns wrong. I say nothing. I count nothing. Sometimes I hear my father say kiddo from a place without air. I do not answer. The blue fades. Names stay where they belong. Months later, a package came with no return. Inside, the lantern's handle. Cold. Sooty. A tag wrapped around it. Same cardboard. Below my word. A new line. 2 words. Thank you. I burned the tag and kept the handle. I hung it by the door. Some Thursdays it cools. Some nights it warms when I pass. It never shines. I am grateful. If a lantern lights where no hand touched the wick, do not answer. If a voice on a bridge says your name, do not answer. Names belong to the living. Keep yours close. Subscribe for more original horror stories.